Steve, welcome back to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast, Friday at 4 series. How are
Thanks,
you?
Jeff. All right, I'm doing well, doing well. Glad to be back. It is another Friday.
Another Friday. Yep.
It's Friday at 4 or thereabouts.
And,
Okay.
and it's 4 o'clock somewhere.
It's 4 o'clock somewhere.
And
I like
it's
it.
4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock right here today. Yeah, so
Can do
to
that.
lead this one off today, I had just saw an article as I was doing my things earlier and looking on Google, and I found this article that popped up that said Macy's was closing, I think, 66 of their locations, and two of them are in Maryland, close to me.
Wow.
Thoughts?
So I will tell you that I did not see that article. So thank you for bringing it up. So on a higher level, before we drill down a little bit, um, let me state what we always say every week. This is just two guys talking. This is unscripted. So, okay. Um, I was always brought up that Macy's was the store.
Mhm.
New York City, their main Herald Square location. I mean, it's big. It's everybody knows it. The Macy's Day Parade, all the nonsense that goes on around it. But to hear that a company that big, that's been around for that long, to close 66 stores, to me personally, that's scary.
Yeah,
And to all the people who work there, that's going to be a big challenge. And we'll get to
yeah,
that in a minute.
yeah,
But in addition to the people that work there, what about all the businesses that provide them the merchandise
yeah, right.
to sell, the racks to hold the merchandise,
Well,
um, the electric, the people that clean at night? It just cascades down. Now all of a sudden you have 66 stores. So let's just assume, and I know assume is a bad word, I apologize, but if you have 66 stores, a couple hundred people a store,
possibly
so
more.
you're talking about,
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever those numbers are, 50,000, 100,000 people minimum out on the street looking that didn't think they would be out looking.
yeah,
And then that means that available jobs are now more more people looking for those. So say competitive, but it's competitive for the jobs, not the job itself, but it's competition for the available jobs.
mm.
So now what do you do if you're out on the street or potentially out on the street? There's less corporate jobs in whatever field you're in. What do you do?
So to cut in there just a little bit on that. So I read the article, and they talked about now. This is their reasoning. This is corporate, right? Even though Macy's,
Okay.
is a big deal, but still, this is corporate talking, right? Their reasoning is that these stores are the stores that are not, they're underperforming, and they want to get rid of these stores so they can move forward with a bigger incentive, a big plan that they're working on. Isn't that something that a lot of corporations kind of say, yeah, well, we don't like these stores, let's get rid of them and let's just move on. But their reasoning is that they're underperforming stores, they're closing them, they're getting rid of them for their bigger initiative that they have coming in 2026. So
Okay. So now I'm going to be a real wise guy.
yes,
And
but
again, let me state this is my opinion. This is not any corporation because, again, we're not sponsored. This is just me talking here, real me. What would happen? I'm going to get real sarcastic here. I'm telling you up front, I'm getting real sarcastic here. What would happen if some of those top executives maybe took a little less money and kept the stores open? Maybe. Maybe if you lowered some prices, you'd get more business. People come, more business when people come in the door to shop because things are expensive. Inflation, we know, is a real thing. It's not what the government says it is, it's worse. Um, so when
yeah.
you start looking at all that stuff, there are ways that companies can stay open if they work a little smarter.
So the one that's in the mall, it's right up the street from where I live.
Mhm.
It's 2 miles and 3 miles from me, if that, right?
Okay.
And I know the mall very well. I go to it a lot. I frequent it. Not a bigger mall right now, but the whole mall is struggling.
Hmm.
There are some stores attached to it. They've cut the mall in half,
Wow.
built a shopping center on the other side, and it's not as big as it used to be. So the only anchor store now, as Sears is gone,
Right.
is Macy's.
Right.
And that store, I see why they're closing that one because it,
Yeah.
it, it makes sense. That
Mhm.
store has been struggling for years,
Mhm.
I mean, even prior to COVID, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, to your point, right?
Mhm.
We don't know the numbers, right? We don't work for Macy's. We don't see the numbers. We don't know
Correct.
how that store is performing. And obviously, like you said, right? How about if we take a little bit less money and keep it open because, it's going to come back around. My whole theory is people are going to get sick of shopping online and they're
Yeah.
going to come back to want to go to malls and they're not going to be there, you
Right.
know? So that's just my theory is that they're going to love it again because you're getting tired of ordering those pants and then slacks online. They don't fit right and they don't look like they did online. Now you
Right.
got a whole fiasco to return them. So
Right.
that's my rebuttal to, them closing these stores. I get it, but I think let's just hold off for a little bit because it's
Well,
going to come back around.
so I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent and then come back. Um, Forewarning, I'm going off on a tangent.
Here we
Um,
go.
Here we go. Um, I'm going to take your last observation, which I think is 100% valid, that keep them open, people will come back. Let's take a look at what's going on in the auto industry. Here's my tangent. Let's take a look at what's going on in the auto industry. You've got a lot of the players, Ford, I think GM, if I'm not mistaken, and some others. They made a decision last year, 2 years ago, that they're going to stop producing sedans and start producing more SUVs and pickup trucks because that's where the money is because the economy was good. Now the economy's starting to sputter and they don't have the vehicles to sell. So one of my relatives works for a very large dealership, and I won't even tell you where, just in case somebody's looking at this video. And they used to sell 300 cars a month. They were a big dealership. The
That's
last bunch
huge.
of months, they're selling 100 because the demographics around the dealership have changed.
Mhm.
And that new demographic wants and can afford sedans. They want but cannot afford the SUVs, the pickups, the EVs, and all those things that are out there. So the dealership and a lot of Ford and other manufacturers are hurting because they don't have the vehicles to sell. And I heard yesterday, I think it was yesterday morning, that I believe it was Mazda came out and said they're sticking to the sedan model because
Mhm.
they were smart enough not to fold under the pressure of, oh, the economy's good. We're going to just chop off an entire segment of production to focus on the expensive. Because they were smart enough to say, the economy's been good for a long, long stretch. Based on history, it's going to come back down. When, how much, pff, who knows? But it's going to come down. So stay with what you have, stay with the market. You're filling a void now. Because if these other companies want to come back into produce sedans, you're talking 1, maybe 2 years before they can ramp back up and do it.
Absolutely.
At that point, people are going to be so pissed at those companies, they're not even going to go back, even if you produce the cars. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So back to your thing with Macy's. See, I do eventually bring it back. Back to your thing with Macy's. Um, yeah, there's a huge push to Amazon and stuff. And Amazon has its place, no question. But I know a couple of people who have businesses that sell to Amazon. And Amazon, yes, they buy massive quantities, but they nickel and dime those manufacturers
Right.
down where their profits are so small or negative that a lot of them are saying, I'm not doing business with Amazon anymore. And if I can't do business anywhere else, I'll close.
Yeah.
So I think Amazon may have its time, but I think that's going to see a downfall too to a certain extent. I think that's going to have a downfall too.
Yeah, you saw that, right, with the driver strike. I mean, that's already part of it.
Yep.
You know, they want more money. They want to get paid better.
Yep.
You know?
Because Bezos is sitting up there with his $500 million yacht that's stuck in the yard because he won't let them demolish, or they won't let him demolish the bridge to bring his boat out, which I'm happy they stuck to their guns. I really am very
Absolutely.
happy about that.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's the way it is. It's my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but I think it's in for a reckoning that big business has got to start giving back a little bit. People are
Yeah.
starting to slowly see what's going on, and they're not happy. They're
You
not.
know, I'm glad you said that, right? Because it ties into a little bit of, Gen Z, who is very particular, and they flat out said, we're not taking it no more.
Right.
We're not just going to take the corporate BS.
Mhm.
You're making all this money. We want part of it.
Right.
And now we're seeing part of that come to fruition, right? Because now we're seeing corporations starting to fail and closing locations because they can't
Right.
keep them open.
Right.
Nobody's working in them. Nobody wants to shop at them,
Right.
because now they know that $200 item, they bought it for 20 bucks and you're selling it at a high profit, and employees aren't getting paid anything of it. But
Right.
the
Right.
CEOs, are up there on their high horse with all this money
Yep.
saying, look at you.
Yep.
Thanks for making me rich. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big believer in they built it, they earn it. I get it, right?
Well, of course.
Bezos built this empire, right?
Right.
And he's doing great. He deserves it. But pay your employees. You got to pay people.
Right.
Pay
But
what they're worth.
how much money do you need? How
Yeah,
many billions do you
yeah,
need when there's people homeless with no insurance,
yeah,
no food? How much can one person spend?
yeah.
You don't
That's
need
true.
$100 billion. Come on. Seriously, you don't.
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
And to, I guess, to go a little bit further on what you had said, businesses, well, not even so much businesses, people are aging. 12,000 people a day turn 65.
Mhm.
So there's less people shopping. There's more people worried about their retirement. So they're not spending money. They don't have the money to spend. Now you got your Gen Zs who are starting to fight back. More and more people are starting to look at a company's social responsibility, not just profit. So are you feeding the homeless? Are you helping the veterans? Are you doing whatever to help the people, not just profit? And if you're not, people are going away from those companies.
Yeah. And to go a little bit off another little bit of tangent, it saddens my heart because you had mentioned about, people getting older. It saddens my heart to see these older people working
Mhm.
in Royal Farms, your convenience stores.
Right,
They're out there working because retirement isn't enough for them anymore. Social Security isn't cutting it, you
right,
know? And it's unfortunate that they weren't able to build up a nest egg that they should have because they were relying on a pension from a company that probably pushed them out early, and then they got the early hit and they're not making as much money. They're forced to go back to work at 70, 75 years old. It
yep,
it breaks my heart,
yep,
you
yep.
know?
Part of it is, and it was, and it still is the same problem. People fall into one of two categories when they're young. Either they're never told about different things they can do to plan for down the road retirement, or they're told, but they're told what corporations want them to hear, not reality. And one of those told but not told the right things is people had 401ks. They were sold as the greatest thing. They were originally sold for the wealthy, but it ended up being out to the masses. And they kind of sort of forgot to tell you that, oh yeah, you can defer taxes, but nobody told you that you're deferring a tax. So you have, I don't know, $5,000 a year that you can put into your retirement account. and you're going to defer the taxes. But what they didn't say is if that 5,000 a year turns into over the years, let's say turns into a million, that
Million,
entire million is taxable.
right?
They also didn't tell you that years down the road, the tax rates may be much higher than they are now. They didn't tell you that either. So you can have less money to live on. They didn't tell you it's in the market that the market can go down and then your retirement plan is gone. And then what do you do? They didn't tell you that stuff. So your point is valid. They don't have the money, but nobody's addressing to the point of can we start to educate the young people today? The under 20, the even the under 40. You still got plenty of time. Nobody's educating them.
Yeah, like you and I both know, this is a great opportunity for all these people who are about to lose their job, create their own Macy's, create their own department
Yep.
store,
Yep.
sell something, do something as a service business, work for yourself,
Yep.
build yourself up, and
Yep.
come back stronger than that
Hmm.
location ever did for them. Because while they may be working for 10, 12, $13 an hour, maybe they can work for 25 and $30 an hour now for themselves, and be better off. Nobody said it's going to be easy, but it's an option, you know.
I saw over the last week or two several different ads for people that went into business for unusual things. Several of the ads were for it's a it's a machine that washes cars. So you pull your car in and it sits up on top and it starts at the front, works its way to the back, wets the car down, then it goes back and it puts soap on it, then it comes back and it puts water on it, then it goes back and it blows the water off. 5 minutes, your car's done. Nobody's required to do it but the person who owns it. You come in once a week, you put in the supplies for the soap and whatever, and you're done.
Yeah.
Business. There was another one for you ever go into the back of like a fast food place and they have those big trash bins. Well, the bin is surrounded by wood in many cases, and it gets filthy back there.
Yeah, it
So
does.
one of the ads was guy comes in with a power washer once a week, power washes it clean, charges $300 once a week, keeps the dirt out, keeps the rodents out, keeps done. So there are things out there, if you look, that are not too hard to do, don't require a lot of capital to get started, but now you're an entrepreneur. You're making your own money. You set your own income,
And you set your own hours.
your own hours. I frankly, if I was younger, I'm there.
I'll be
I'm
doing
there.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. So there are
absolutely.
things to do. And you mentioned entrepreneurs, you may work a little harder up front to get the business going. But if you could be the boss, you could set the rules, you could hire the team you want, you could work the hours, set your income. You're it. You do it all. And if you can find that business for a low cost of entry, dollar wise, it's a win.
Do it.
It's a win.
Yeah,
And more people are starting to do that. They
yeah.
really are. And to me, it's a good thing.
And not to go on another little tangent, but you brought thought to come to mind when you said about get entrepreneur and all this stuff and find a business at a low cost. I had someone yesterday ask me, well, did you ever think about taking a loan out so you don't have to work and you can just focus on just your business? And I said, yeah, I thought about it, but nah, that's not the right thing to do. No, I ain't taking a loan out right now. No,
You take a loan, but the last time I checked, you got to pay it
you
back.
gotta pay it back. Hey, you want to give me a grant? I'm okay with that. I'll
Right,
take a grant.
exactly.
Let's do it.
Exactly.
Let's trade it.
Eh, There are things to do. There
Yeah.
are just think a little bit outside the box.
And to give a little shout out to my podcast yesterday, John Hewitt of Jackson Hewitt Tax Services was on my podcast. I don't know if you had the chance to see it. And if any of my watchers here or anybody that's watching this, check it out. It's really good. He has a new business he's working on,
Hmm.
and it's really, really cool. Really cool.
Hmm.
He's really into a mobile dog grooming service. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
So he's probably the only one I know of. That's why I told him I don't know of any franchises doing mobile grooming. they're usually just small businesses doing it.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity right there,
Huh.
you know?
Never thought of
Yep.
that. I
Yep.
like
He
it.
did.
I like it.
Yep. He did. So check out the podcast.
I will. Absolutely, I will. There's a
Yeah.
guy I know who he's been doing it now a couple of years. He started out with one van. And what he does is he goes out to your house, will wash and wax your car.
Well,
He comes to you.
yeah.
He hooks up. Well, in the van, he's got a huge tank with water, and he's got all the stuff, all the pumps and all the nonsense, and it'll come
Yeah.
out. He's got the sponges and the whatever with the soap. He'll
Right.
wash it down. He'll he'll I should say he'll wet it down. He'll wash it. He'll wet it down, get it off. Then he can wax it for you, can arm roll it for you, and each thing is a la carte, so you can pick and choose what you want. And the last time I checked, he now has a physical location where people come into him, and he's got 5 vans that go out. He's making a
Is that
killing
that's awesome?
washing
That's awesome.
cars.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
So
a guy. Yeah, I know a guy that's looking for an RV and he wants to travel the country and run his business from an RV.
I got to tell you, I
Yeah,
saw
it's a great
something.
idea.
I saw something a couple of years ago on Shark Tank,
Yeah.
and there was like 2 or 3 guys that came in, and their model was they would buy an older van, not super old, but an older van, cheap, and they would rip out the guts and build it as an RV, and you could customize, what would go in there, and they would selling it for, I don't know, 10, $12,000. So the van plus creating it was only like 5, and they were selling it for 12, and they had a list like 100 people long waiting for it.
Yeah. I'm too old for that. I need a perfect bed and I got a special bed I have and my sleep is a certain way. So I thought about the van, I thought about all this stuff,
Hmm.
but this guy needs a class C. That's just how it is. Gotta have my class C. So anybody watching, class C?
Anybody got one to say that for sale? Chuck's in the
Hey,
market.
I'm on the market. I wanna travel. I wanna get that RV. I want
Yeah.
to travel the country
I I
and run this business. I think I can do it. I
yeah,
really think I can
I
do it.
could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
I could get something, and I don't want the huge monster, but if I could get a 20 foot,
Yeah.
and if it's set up the right way, it's got to have the bathroom and the shower and the whole 9 yards inside. But
There's the ones
if
I'm
I
looking
could
at, the
get like a
Class C's that has all that. Yeah.
I would consider doing that because I know there are sites that you can go, websites you can go onto that show you spots around the country that are RV camps and this and the other thing. And I don't remember what they are, but there are organizations that if you join, and they're free to join, they have different, and it's the wrong word, but let's call it a campsite. And it's not the right word for it, but let's call it a campsite where you can go in for like 30 or $40 a night. You get electric, you get water, you get internet. It's
So we're going to talk
cheaper
about,
that than paying rent in an apartment.
so we're going to talk about this topic off the podcast because I know
Okay.
everything you're talking about. I've done my research and I'm already set up for all this.
Okay.
Like I said, all I need is the RV.
Okay. Oh,
I
minor
need the
details.
means.
You want an
I
RV
need the
too? Come on.
I need the means to find it to get the RV. That's all I need. I have everything else set. You know, I'm 100% set. All I need is the RV, and I will show you how I got it all planned out.
So I am going to get you an RV.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
I'm going to go onto Amazon. I'm going to pull up a Mattel 599 Matchbox RV, and there's
Here's
your
your
RV.
RV.
There's your
I'm
RV.
gonna drive it around in my car.
There you go. A little
Awesome.
cramped, but okay, we could do this.
A little cramped, but yeah, but we'll figure it out, right? But yeah, I did a lot of extensive research on this
Ah,
because I really
nice.
want to figure out how to run my business from the RV, and I've got it.
Oh,
I just
nice.
need it. Yeah, I just need it. And also, I think we talked about this. If I could find people to sponsor,
Mm.
sponsor the
Right,
RV,
right.
sponsor me as I'm traveling. That was the other
Yeah.
plan I had. just get sponsors and drive around and showcase who sponsored me and do my business and show
Okay,
the world.
world. Okay, world. We need a sponsor for Chuck and his QAC team. Anybody who's
There you go.
interested, give him a
We put it
call at
out there.
Chuck at,
QACteam.com.
there you go, Chuck at QACteam.com. Send him a message. He's looking for sponsors. He offers an amazing service. Again, this is not a sales pitch. Help the guy out. He'll help you in your business. Win-win situation. We're good.
And here's the sales pitch for Steve. Financials, man, I tell you, what a business you're in. And, we're thankful for people like you to
Yeah.
help make sense of all these numbers. And, I love your posts I see on LinkedIn and Facebook daily. They really wake me up to say, man, I really missed a boat on this stuff when I was younger. And
But
it wasn't really my fault per se,
no, it's not your
but
fault.
it just, it happened, and
Yeah.
time just flies.
So, as a general statement, because this is not a sales pitch, so we're going to make general statement. I've believed for a long time that the people in this country, myself included, hopefully, um, we are purposely not taught basic things. Purposely. Because major corporations want us to be uninformed so we don't make decisions for us. We make
Yes,
decisions based on what we're told to
we're
make.
told.
Put
Yeah,
money in a bank at 0.1%.
yeah,
Credit cards pay minimum balance. You never pay it off because you're paying so
yeah.
much interest. This is the stuff that people never know.
Yep,
And it's
that's true.
that piece alone has to change. So it's not you, it's not me. It's what we were taught when we were young. Because
Yeah,
again, we're taught what they want us to know.
true, man. So true. Very well
Mhm.
spoken.
And that
And
feels it.
yeah, and how do we reach you?
Steve at stevekentfs.com.
Steve, what an awesome podcast. I'm glad you came back on.
Yeah, me
Every
too.
every time we do this, I learn something new just by chatting with you, and
Me too.
I just want to say keep up the good work on the posts on social media. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I know people are seeing it, you know, and
Yeah.
I just can't wait to meet with you and really sit down and go over some plans that I have, for the future of my kids, my future. Who knows how long I'll be here, but I can do something and build something while I'm still here, and leave something for my kids, you know.
Yeah. It's
So,
when last closing thought. When I first started to work back in the days of the flood, because I'm so old. Okay, but when I started to work,
when
I
dirt was
remember my
created,
first manager. Now we're talking 40 something years ago. My first manager said something to me that I never forgot. And what he said to me was, nobody cares about your future more than you do. No, nobody, regardless of what they're telling you, nobody cares. Now, somebody who is knowledgeable, kind, caring, and wants to help will explain to you options you have, which you can choose or not. That's obviously that's your decision.
right?
But if you don't know what options are out there, how do you ever break out of the rut that we're in? And that's my whole beef. Nobody's helping people.
How do you secure your future when you're at a young age? Because again, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I didn't hear that stuff. All I remember and heard was you work for a company, get a pension. Well, Gen
Right.
X, who was a part of that, no more pension, now you have to do a 401k. Now
Right.
you're stuck because you worked half your life for nothing.
Yep.
So now you got to catch up.
Yep.
You got a 401k, you're trying to catch up. And it really backfired. It really did. I wasn't one of the fortunate ones who was able to continue and carry that 401k, from a divorce, but it's okay. I'll rebuild better. I'll keep moving and I will do what I have to do, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's a
And
that's a whole nother topic
a
for
whole other
another
podcast episode.
whole other topic. But
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where we are.
Yeah. I think, we covered a lot of good things today, man. I think if people listen to this and they get this far, you know, hopefully they woke up to say, I do have options. I don't have to be scared to lose my job. I wasn't scared I lost my job. I was a little panicking, but I figured it out as everybody will. If you have the strength and the power to want to push forward with something, if you lose your job,
Mhm.
you'll find it.
Yeah.
And if not, we can help.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Yep. And
That's
if
why we're here.
somebody tells you to do something, the one word you should always say to them, why?
Why?
Why
Yep.
am I doing this? Why do I have to do this? Why is it in my best interest? Why?
Yep.
Question why.
You got
And
it.
you'd be surprised how many times you're not going to get an answer. And
Yeah,
that should scare you.
absolutely. And Steve, thanks again for coming on this Friday at 4 podcast because
It's it's 4 o'clock somewhere. I
it's
almost
4
messed
o'clock
that up.
somewhere. You were doing so good in the past few
We are.
episodes.
We
You had
did.
it.
What can I tell you?
You struggled with this one. We got it. Steve, thanks again for coming on, man.
You
It's
got
been a
it, John.
great episode.
Yep,
Talk soon.
absolutely. Have a
See
great
you.
weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend, Steve.
You got it.
See
You
you,
too, John.
everybody. Have a
Take
great
care.
weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.